need a bolster if you have a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, a couple of pillows or a rolled up blanket, or actually a rolled up yoga mat works very well as a bolster too. And I think that's about all. A block as well, if you've got a block to hand. So we are going to start with a little bit of pranayama practice. So again, as always, getting nice and comfortable. So coming into any comfortable seated position, and again, check my bones very low. And again, arms and legs are nice and relaxed here. So again, we just find that posture. And again, we can just start to close the eyes, shift the awareness a little bit more inwards.
Trey, sorry, just a button. Could you just mute us all, please?
Oh gosh, yes, sorry about that. Okay.
That's okay, it's just going on to a different speaker.
All right, okay, yes. And if
Thank you.
And if you guys want to play music and stuff as well, yeah, then thank you. Remind me about that, because otherwise when I do the recording, it comes onto you guys if you make a sound. So you end up being in the spotlight of the recording. So, right, guys. So sitting nice and comfortable, arms nice and relaxed down by the sides, back of the neck long, chin slightly tucked in, eyes lightly closed. Again, we can just start to shift our awareness a little bit more inwards. Again, we can close the eyes. And then again, from that internal perspective, just bringing our awareness again to our breath. So we just become aware of that inhalation and the exhalation to begin with. And again, we can just start to breathe into that yogic breath, or the 3-part breath. Again, breathing into the belly or the diaphragm, up into the chest, up into the collarbones. And again, as we breathe out, just have that longer exhalation. So again, just breathing out for a count of 8 or 10. And then again, we can just start to come into that Samavriti breath. So again, that equal count. So again, breathing in for 6. And then again, breathing out for 6. Again, inhalation, exhalation equal. And then again, we can start to add that little kumbhaka, so that little holding or retention of the breath where we breathe in for 6. Hold with full lungs for a count of 3. Breathe out for 6. And then again, hold with empty lungs for a count of 3. And then finally, we can come into that full Samavriti breath. So again, we can breathe in for 6. We can hold with full lungs for a count of 6. We can breathe out for 6. And then again, hold with empty lungs for that count of 6. Again, if we do find ourselves getting slightly agitated with the holding of the breath, we can stay with the 6 free count. And then finally, we just let our breath return back to its normal rhythm. And just take that couple of moments to see how you feel. And then again, when we're ready to begin, we can maybe just bring our hands together, gently rub the hands together, create a little bit of heat. Bring our hands up to the eyes, gently blinking into the warmth and darkness of the hands. Bringing the fingertips onto the eyelids, gently massaging out the eyelids, onto the temples, down the sides, the jaw, to the chin. And then we're going to begin seated with a couple of kind of shoulder and neck stretches here. So again, if you want to adjust your posture at all here, you can do. So again, all we're going to do is we're just going to start with those kind of little kind of seated kind of neck stretches. So we're just going to kind of relax those arms down by the sides. And just let those arms become nice and heavy. And then we're just going to start by kind of dropping our right shoulder, or right ear towards our right shoulder. So again, we stretch through that left side of the neck. We can again bring that right hand over, maybe just kind of place it towards kind of the temple on the left side. Just add that little bit of weight here into the stretch. And if you've got a lot of tension in the neck, we might not need to do this. It might just be okay just to hold or keep the head a little bit dropped over towards that right side. And then again, we can just drop that right arm back down by the sides. We keep that right ear moving towards the left shoulder. We again stretch that left arm out this time. So again, we can really point through those fingertips. Feel that connection through the fingertips right up the arm. And then again, we can wrap that left arm around the back. We can bring it towards the opposite hip, or again, maybe tuck it into the opposite upper arm. So maybe just kind of gently brace hold of the right upper arm. Keep that right ear moving towards the right shoulder. That left shoulder blade is nice and relaxed, nice and rolled down, stretching through that left side of the neck. And then again, we can play around a little bit here with the position of the head. So again, if we just drop that chin in a little bit here. And then again, we can just drop that head back a little. And then again, to bring that head back up to center, we can bring that left arm back out shoulder level, fingertips come towards that right temple, and just gently push that head back to center. And then again, working onto the opposite side, so again, dropping that left ear towards left shoulder, allowing that right arm to become nice and heavy. Again, we can bring our left hand up, gently place it towards the kind of the right temple, just add that little bit of kind of tension, a little bit of weight into the stretch. And then again, we can drop that left arm, keeping that left ear moving towards the left shoulder, stretching through that right side of the neck, top of the right shoulder. We can again bring that right arm out to shoulder level, just point through those fingertips. And then again, we can wrap that arm around the back, bringing it towards the opposite hip, bracing it against that left upper arm. Again, keeping that left ear moving towards left shoulder, stretching through that right side. And again, we can drop that chin in a little. And again, we can also drop that head back a little. And then again, we can stretch that right arm back out to shoulder level. We bring those fingertips, left fingertips to the left temple, gently push that head back to center. And then the next couple of ones we're going to do here, we're just going to lace our fingertips together and we're just going to bring our hands to the back of the skull, or the back of the head there. And we're just going to gently kind of drop our chin in towards our chest and just kind of wrap those kind of forearms around the ears. It's almost like you're trying to bring your elbows in towards each other. And the same here, just add that little bit of kind of weight into the stretch. So again, we're really kind of stretching through the back of the neck. And then again, we can bring that head back to center. We can now just take it a little bit into our eagle arms. So again, we're just going to stretch our arms out to shoulder level. We're going to take our left arm over, right arm under. We're going to give ourselves that big hug. We're going to catch hold of the shoulder blades, pulling those shoulder blades away from each other. We're going to drop our chin in towards the chest, round out a little bit between the back of the shoulders. We're going to really stretch between those shoulder muscles. And then again, we can bring that head up. We can release those shoulders but come into that eagle arm. So again, back of the hands or palm of the hands to touch. Again, slightly just bringing those elbows up in line with the shoulders. And then just gently kind of tugging the arms forwards and a little bit further up. And then again, just dropping that head in a little bit here. And then that final one we're going to do here is we can either, again, just depends on how we feel, we can either just kind of roll in a little bit and drop in, or if you're comfortable or you're sitting on your knees, you can sometimes even kind of come right down to kind of bring your forearms onto the floor. Or what I like to do again is that little shoulder stretch, is actually kind of bring my arms towards the floor, but then kind of hook my arms towards the outside of my right knee. So again, I get that deeper stretch around kind of the left shoulder here. But again, you can just have your palms on the floor and forearms on the floor, or you can just curl in and kind of round out the back. So again, whichever one you prefer. And then again, we can slowly come back up. We can just give those arms a bit of a shrug for a moment. And then again, we can come on to that opposite side. Again, we can bring arms out to shoulder level, give ourselves that big hug. So again, take right arm over, left arm under this time, grab hold of the shoulders, dropping the chin in, and just stretching out through the back of the shoulders. And then again, we can lift the head. We can come into that eagle arms. So again, bring back of the hands, palm of the hands to touch. Gently bring our elbows up in line with the shoulders, and then again, tug the arms forwards and a little bit further up. And again, just dropping the chin in here. And then again, that final one here, just come into wherever feels comfortable. So whether you just round in, whether you even drop your forearms onto the floor, whether you can kind of hook your arms kind of around kind of the outside of our left kind of knee here. And then again, we can slowly Come back up. We can release those arms. Give those arms a bit of a shrug. And then we're just going to stretch our legs out this time and just give those legs a little bit of a flutter. So we're just going to slowly come down now onto our back. So again, you can come into any comfortable position here. You can relax with your arms out to the side. You can have something underneath your head if you prefer. Again, we're just going to take a couple of moments here just to kind of relax. Actually, we'll come into a kind of little Baddha here. So if we just bring our kind of soles of the feet together, knees flopped out to the side, and we just gently kind of relax those arms out to the side here. And again, we just really kind of allow the back of the shoulders, the back of the sternum, the back of the head to sink down into the floor. So again, that kind of upper body becomes nice and heavy. And then we're just going to gently bring those feet onto the floor. We're going to come into our little kind of figure of four pose here. Again, we're going to hold the stretches for a little bit. So we're going to start by kind of bringing our left foot up towards that right knee. And again, we can just start with a little bit of kind of hip movement here. Just again, a little bit kind of to start to free up the hips a little. And then again, the next time we take that left leg away, we just gently bring our left hand onto the inside of that left thigh. And again, we just gently kind of brace it here, just kind of pushing that leg a little bit away from us. And then again, we can release, we can lift those legs up towards us now. We can thread our left hand between the legs, take the right arm around the side, clasp the back of the right thigh, the front of the right lower leg, just wherever feels comfortable, just squeeze those legs in a little. And then again, we can just release. We can drop that right foot back onto the floor. We can come into that little twist. So again, we're going to play around a little bit in this twist. So we're going to start by just dropping our legs over towards that right side and just kind of bringing that left foot to wherever. So again, we can place it on a block here. We can place it on a bolster. We can just have those left toes, left sole of the foot pressing into the floor. So we're going to start with a little side stretch here to begin with. So again, we can have left arm out at shoulder level. We can have cactus arm, or we can kind of slide that left arm up a little bit higher. And again, maybe you can turn the head a little bit to the right. And And then again, just soften here into the pose. And then we're going to start to play around a little bit here with it as a quad stretch. So again, we're just going to go gently here. But again, how does it feel just to kind of start to wiggle our kind of right heel up towards our bum? Again, careful not to cause cramping here, because it can cause cramping the hamstrings. And then again, depending on how much space there is, you might even be able to kind of slide your kind of left hand down and maybe even just kind of hold on to those kind of right toes. So again, you get a little bit of a quad stretch there on that right side. But again, keeping that kind of left shoulder blade kind of connected down towards the floor. So we're not trying to create any tension in that left arm. And again, just take a few breaths here. And you can kind of play around with it a little bit here on the right side. So you can kind of, sorry, on the left side. So you can keep your kind of left leg as it is. You can sometimes kind of almost kind of hug your left knee in a little bit more. Or even kind of bring your left leg a little bit kind of closer up towards you. And then again, we can just slowly come back up to center. We can just take that moment here. So again, we just pause between the sides, see how that body feels. And then again, we can swap sides. So this time we can bring our right foot up towards that left knee. We can start with that little bit of hip flossing here, that little bit of movement. And then again, when we're ready, we can just gently kind of press that right leg away from us. Just kind of hold there again with that little bit of tension as we press our leg away. That right arm. And then again, we can slowly lift those legs up towards us. We can thread our right hand between the legs, clasp hold of the back of the left thigh, or again, the front of the left lower leg. Squeezing those legs in a little bit, just relaxing here. And then again, we can just release. We can now just drop those legs over towards that left side this time, that's right. And again, we can play around with the position of the right arm to begin with. So again, we find that little side stretch. So again, do we keep right arm shoulder level? Do we take it into cactus arm? Do we slide it a little bit higher? Do we change the position of the head? Do we support the kind of the right leg to begin with? And again, we just relax here into this side stretch for a few breaths. And then again, we can play around a little bit here. So again, we might even start to wiggle that left heel up towards kind of the left bum cheek. We can even, if it feels okay, slide the right hand down. Maybe you can just kind of hold on to those kind of left toes with that right hand. Again, make sure there's no tension at all in that right shoulder and arm here. And then again, we can leave that kind of right leg as it is. Or again, you might just kind of, if it feels kind of okay here, maybe just kind of even kind of bring your kind of knee up a little bit more towards you. Again, it might just slightly kind of change the stretch a little bit. Or again, you might just hug the knee in a little. And then again, we can slowly come back up to center. We can take a moment here. So again, we might stretch legs out. We might bring soles of the feet together, knees out to the side to kind of come into that little kind of Baddha Konasana. And again, we just become aware of the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, the back of the sternum, pressing down into the floor. And then again, we can just bring our feet back down onto the floor. So we're going to just bring our left knee up into the chest now. We're just going to squeeze that left knee in for a couple of breaths. Then we're just going to stretch out that right leg. So we just get that little bit of kind of psoas and kind of glute stretch here. And then we're going to come into that half happy baby. So we're going to start by bringing the pelvis back into a more neutral position. So we just bring our right foot onto the floor so our right knee's bent. And then again, we can start to take that left kind of foot up towards the ceiling. So again, we're trying to kind of have the sole of the foot facing up towards ceiling and our kind of left knees coming towards our left armpit. We might kind of hold on to the ankle here. Some of you might kind of comfortably hold on to the inside or the outside of the foot. You can use a band here again. Feels more comfortable. Sometimes again, supporting the head in this position feels a bit more comfortable. And again, we're just going to relax here as much as you can. And then again, we can also stretch out that opposite leg. So again, stretching out that right leg here for a few breaths. Especially when we've held happy baby for a little bit of time. Those kind of outer hip muscles on the left side. Especially the psoas, because again, we end up stretching through the psoas at the back of the body on the left and at the front of the body a little bit on the right. And then again, we can slowly bring that left foot back down onto the floor. We can bring our right knee into the chest this time, hugging that right knee in. Again, we can stretch out that left leg as we squeeze the right knee in towards the chest. And then again, just bringing that pelvis back into a more neutral position as we just drop our left foot back down onto the floor. We can bring our right leg up towards the ceiling. So again, we're trying to bring our right knee towards our right armpit. Sole of the foot faces up towards the ceiling. Again, we can hold on to the ankle. We can hold on to the inside or the outside of the foot. We can use a band. Feels more comfortable. Again, we just relax here for a few breaths. And again, we can stretch out that opposite leg. And then if it feels okay to come into that full happy baby pose, we can bring both kind of knees towards armpits. Again, soles of the foot kind of facing up towards the ceiling. You can just kind of hang out here. You can sometimes even kind of roll a little bit from side to side. Or again, you can sometimes kind of stretch one leg a little bit and kind of bend the other in. Or again, even kind of hold on to your kind of big toes, more like a yogi toe lock, as you kind of slowly stretch out one leg, keep one leg bent in. And then again, you can kind of hold on to the big toes a little bit, And then again, maybe just stretch both legs a little bit. So we get a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. And then again, we can just bring those knees back into the chest. And take a couple of moments here again, just rocking out that lower back for a couple of moments. And then again, we can just roll towards one side, and we're just going to slowly come up into seated. So the next couple of ones, we're going to work a little bit into kind of forward fold. And I'm going to kind of see how we're going with this one. So what I did want to do was I wanted to do one in a, Claire's here, in a Supta Vajrasana. So with one knee kind of bent in. So again, I'm starting with my left bent in. So again, how does that feel? So I need comfortable legs. I know sometimes I can't do this pose in certain classes because it's just a no-go. Again, you can kind of perch on a block or a cushion or a bolster. And that will sometimes bring a little bit of the pressure out of the knee here. Again, if you want to do that, if you want to kind of perch on a cushion or block, so your bum is a little bit more lifted, especially if you feel a little bit of kind of pulling from the quad into your knee. Just lift up a little bit. And now we're going to come into a little kind of hamstring stretch here. So again, we might kind of bring something underneath that straight right leg. So again, you might have a block or a cushion or something underneath your knee, depending on how your hamstrings are feeling. And you might even, so just to support that. And then again, we're just going to slowly start to come forward. And we're just going to come to whatever point feels comfortable here. So again, we might be up on the hands. We might have our elbows a little bit further towards the floor. We might have our head kind of resting on our lower leg. We might have our hands resting on the lower leg. And we're just going to kind of come into whatever position feels comfortable here. And just kind of relax into it for a few breaths. And again, as you hang out here, you might find you relax a little bit more into that stretch. And then again, we can slowly come back up. And then again, the next one I'm going to let you choose again for the position of your left leg. So again, depending on how comfortable you are here in a kind of Supta Vajrasana or a half hero pose, you can take your leg out to the side. So you've now kind of got that L shape of the legs. Or if it feels more comfortable for you to kind of have your leg the opposite way. So again, you've got that little bit of external rotation more of the hip now. So your kind of left foot is more towards the inside of the top of the right leg. So again, if you're better with external rotation, kind of have that kind of foot in. If you are an innie hip person like me and you like that internal rotation of your hip, you can have your leg kind of facing away. And then again, we're just going to start to fold again down that right leg. And again, we just come to whatever point. And again, we can bring something underneath those hamstrings again on the right side. Again, we can just be up on the hands, just allow that belly to sink towards the floor. And just again, by that letting go of the upper body, which we've been playing around with a lot in classes, that just deepens the stretch. And we keep our foot relaxed on the right side, and on the right side, I was right. And again, and then again, you can slowly come back up. You can stretch both those legs out for a moment, give the legs a little bit of a flutter. And then again, we can swap sides. So again, we can come into that kind of Supta Vajrasana. So again, we have our kind of right leg bent in this time. And again, we're just going to fold with that very kind of neutral position pelvis. And again, you can sit on a block or a cushion if that helps take some of the strain out on the bent knee. Again, it will slightly increase your hamstring stretch as you come forwards. Because again, you've changed the position of the pelvis. But again, we'll take some of the strain out of the quad stretch on the right side. Or again, you can have something underneath that left leg. So again, if you hamstrings are feeling particularly tight, you don't want to completely lock out your hamstrings, just bringing something underneath. And then again, we can just slowly start to fold forwards. Again, we come to that point, we always know in forward folds, we feel that strong hamstring stretch. And then that's that point where we just soften and we just release. And sometimes that just letting go of the upper body will deepen the stretch. And again, just breathe in there. And again, dropping the head, because then obviously we're stretching through that whole back line of the body. Keeping the foot nice and relaxed as well, so you're not kind of pulling both kind of ends of the hamstrings when you're stretching. Interesting, these are kind of my favourite ways of doing the ekapadas, so the one-legged kind of stretches in yoga. I always prefer to start this way with the kind of the leg bent in and like a kind of Vajrasana or hero pose or half hero pose. Because I'm an innie hip person, but I very rarely teach it like this because I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. But if you're an innie hip person like me, you might actually find it easier to forward fold this way. And then again, we can slowly come back in. And then again, the same here. If you're an any hip person, you might just be able to kind of step that right leg a little bit more out towards the side. So you kind of got that more of an L shape with the legs. Or again, you might just kind of tuck that kind of right foot in towards the left upper thigh. Again, you can perch on your block on again, if you've got a blanket on a pillow. Again, sometimes just to fold forward. If you have had the legs stretched under, you probably want to take your block out if you had your block underneath in this position. And then again, the same thing here. We just slowly start to fold. Again, if you want to bring something underneath the hamstring, we can. We just come down into that little forward fold. And again, we just come to whatever point here, we soften into it. And just allow the belly to sink towards that thigh. And then again, you can slowly come back in. Or you can stretch those legs out now. Give those legs a little bit of a flutter. Check the toe. And then the final last little one we're going to do here before we come back onto our backs is we're going to come into a little Baddha Konasana forward fold or butterfly stretch. So again, you might want to kind of perch your bum on a rolled up blanket, on a pillow, on the edge of the yoga mat. Again, if you've got a bolster, you can use a bolster here. You can bring your knees out to the side, and again, the soles of the feet are in towards each other. And then again, we just slowly start to fold forwards. So again, we might have our elbows on our upper legs, we might have them on our lower legs, we might have them in front. You might even have your forehead down on your feet there. And again, just come into whatever point feels comfortable here. And then again, we can slowly come back up. And then again, we can stretch those legs out, give those legs a little bit of a flutter. And then we're going to come back down onto our backs now. So again, we're just going to come into any comfortable position. We can just relax here for a couple of breaths. And again, you might just kind of relax here with the legs stretched out. You might have a little Baddha Konasana. You might even kind of hug your knees in. Just kind of rocking out that lower back here for a couple of moments, whichever feels the best for you. And then we're just going to finish off with those couple of little twists. And again, we're going to do the little eagle legs twists again, because I just find, again, because we can play around a little bit with that moving of the pelvis and how that really changes the stretch. So again, we can just drop our kind of feet down onto the floor now. We can have our arms nice and relaxed out to the sides. We can again cross our kind of left thigh over the right. We can leave our left foot rest against the right lower leg, or again, hook it around the back of that right calf. Again, we can drop those legs over towards that right side. So again, you might bring them onto your cushion here, onto a block, onto your bolster. You might hug them towards the floor. You can play around a little bit here with the position of the arms. Again, you can keep left arm out at shoulder level. You can take it into cactus arm. You can take it a little bit higher. You can turn the position of the head. And again, we just find that sweet little spot wherever it works for us. And again, if we do have that left shoulder blade just a little bit off the floor, just again allowing that left side of the chest, left shoulder blade just to sink down towards the floor. And then again, we can come back to center. We can again lift those legs up towards us now. So again, we bring those thighs up towards the belly. And then again, we step them right over and kind of off to the floor on that right side. And then again, we play around here with the position of the upper arm, the upper body, position of the arm, position of the head. And how does that tilt of the pelvis change the stretch for you? And does it make it slightly deeper? Does it make it slightly less intense? Again, I always find this fascinating that just that change in the position of the pelvis in all the stretches will release a stretch or intensify a stretch. Such a simple little thing. And again, it's where our forwards and back bends kind of originate from. The movement of the pelvis and how much movement we have there. And then again, we can slowly bring those legs back to center. We can unwrap, we can take a moment here between those sides. And then again, we can swap sides. We can cross our right leg over the left. We can wrap our right foot around the back of the left calf or lead it as it is. We can again drop our legs over towards that left side. We play around with the position of the right arm here. Do we support the legs? Do we hug them towards the floor? Do we turn the head? Do we change position of the right arm? And then again, we can bring those legs back to center. And again, that final one, we can hug those knees up towards us. We can really step those legs off to that left side. We play around again with the position of the arm on the right side, the position of the head, position of the legs. And again, how does that tilt of the pelvis, that change in position of the pelvis, how does it change that stretch for you? And then again, we can slowly bring those legs back to center. We can unwrap the legs. We can take a couple of moments here before we come into our little relaxation. Do you want to hug the knees in? Do you want to rock out from side to side? Do you want to circle the knees a little? Whatever feels good here to stretch out for that couple of breaths. And then we're just going to get ready to come into your little shavasana. Again, if you want to get any warmer clothes on, any socks, blankets, jackets, cushions, turn any lights off. I'm going to turn some lights off. It's very bright light in front of me. So again, we can just come into any comfortable shavasana position. We can again have our arms and legs when we're ready, nice and relaxed out to the side. Again, back of the neck is long, chin is slightly tucked in, eyes are lightly closed. Again, we just take a few moments here to make any little adjustments. The body feels comfortable on the floor. And then again, we can just start to shift our awareness to the breath. And starting to breathe in and out. And again, on that inhalation, just that sense of widening, opening, lengthening across the body. That exhalation, that sense of relaxing, releasing, that letting go. And then again, we can just bring our breath and our awareness into the body. So again, just breathing from the top of the head right down into the fingers, the toes. Again, just focusing into any little areas of tension, tightness, discomfort in the body. And again, as we breathe out, we can just allow those areas just to relax, release and soften. And then again, we can just breathe from the top of the head right down into the fingers, the toes. And again, as we exhale, just allowing the weight of the body to just sink down into the floor. Just letting everything soften. Relax, release. And then we can just start to bring our awareness back to that Samavriti breath, so that equal count. Again, breathing in for 6. And again, breathing out for 6. And again, we can start to add that little pause of the breath. So again, breathing in for 6. Holding for 3. Breathing out for 6. And holding with empty lungs for a count of 3. And then we can come into that full Samavriti breath, or box breath, where we breathe in for 6. We hold with full lungs for a count of 6. We breathe out for 6. And again, we hold with empty lungs for a count of 6. And finally, that last little part of that Samavriti breath again, so we draw that yantra. So again, yantra is like a sacred image. and with a sacred square with a sacred image inside. So we're making yantra of the body here, or the heart center. So we draw that line as we inhale from kind of our right hip to our right shoulder. As we hold with full lungs, we draw from right shoulder to left shoulder. As we exhale for 6, we draw from our left shoulder to our left hip. And then again, as we hold with empty lungs, we finish off the bottom of that yantra, that square, as we draw that line from left hip to right. So when we inhale, right hip to right shoulder, we hold for 6, right shoulder to left. We exhale for 6, left shoulder to left hip. And then again we hold with empty lungs, drawing that bottom of the square from left hip to right. And again we can also make this square kind of golden as well. So again with that line we draw, it's kind of bright or gold or light. So we can just allow that breath to return back to its normal rhythm. We can take a couple of moments here. Breathe a little deeper. Start to bring that little bit of gentle movements. Again, maybe wiggling the fingers, toes a little, taking the head from side to side. Again, when you're ready to bring a little bit more movement into the body, we can do that gentle overarm stretch. And then again, we can bring our hands together when we're ready, gently rubbing the hands, creating that little bit of heat. We can bring the hands up to the eyes, just gently blinking into that warmth and darkness of the hands. Bringing the fingertips onto the eyelids, gently massaging out the eyelids, onto the temples, and down the sides of the jaw, to the chin. And then we can just bring our knees up into our chest, rocking out that lower back. And then slowly rolling to the side. And just gently finding our way up into seated. To finish. And again, we can just take a couple of deep breaths here. And again, we clasp the hands together if we want to, gently stretching the elbows. And exhaling wide out to the sides. Thank you very much, guys.